You were recently quoted as saying, the average school kid probably has better technology in his or her backpack than most of us do in government offices. How do you fix that while also trying to cut IT spending, or at least keep it under control?
Well, the deeper question, as I observed that, as I looked at huge divide between consumer space and public sector. So the deeper question is, why does that exist? The real reason is that there isn't that Darwinian pressure to innovate that's in the consumer space. So if you think about these consumer companies, right, they're one click away from extinction. So they have to constantly innovate. Yet, when you look at enterprise IT, which is far inferior to consumer IT, the reason is victory is considered winning that contract. So once these companies win that contract, the incentives are to optimize their margins. It's not to innovate. It's not to make sure they're providing better services. So my view is the way you actually address that problem is you leapfrog. You start adopting consumer technologies.
On the subject of security in general, hackers in recent weeks have attacked the computer systems of the CIA, the U.S. Senate, other parts of government. How serious are those attacks, and what's being done to defend against them?
Well, more broadly, cybersecurity is a huge issue. And I would unpack this issue a little bit. One is you've got to think about it in the context of the military. So since the days of the Pony Express, our military has been under attack. Our adversaries have wanted to disrupt our command and control infrastructure. So it went from the Pony Express to the telegraph to now cyber. That's one area. Second is federal systems, which are constantly under attack. Millions of attempted intrusions across the board. And third is thinking about it in the context of the private sector. That is one of the reasons we've put forward model legislation, and we're working closely with Congress to make sure that we address some of these major vulnerabilities. That is also the reason when it comes to the military side of it, the President has put in place a 4-star general that's in charge of Cyber Command to make sure that we're protecting our national security interests.
Historically, an argument that often comes up in budget battles of every kind is security, which is often used as a reason for why a budget has to be higher than somebody else wants it to be. And it is very hard to argue against security. How do you deal with those issues where someone on the IT side may say, yes, but we got to spend this money because it's security?
There's a stupid way to spend money and a smart way. So a stupid way, an example would be what actually has been happening historically. So the State Department, for example, spent $138 million over a course of 6 years to basically hire a bunch of consultants to write reports. Those reports on vulnerabilities and what needed to be done and so forth sat in metal cabinets across Washington. They're probably far more secure than the very systems that they were supposed to protect. So the pivot has to be, around, well, how are you using this capital? My view is that what we need to do is attack our own systems. That is why, as part of the President's budget, what we've done is we've put in funding to build out red teams and blue teams at the Department of Homeland Security. So DHS can go after our own systems and confront agency leadership and say, look, we were able to hack into your system. Here are the 10 vulnerabilities. That's very specific, but more importantly, it's actionable. That is the big shift, and that is where we're moving toward as far as investing. And we're also investing in technology, right? Continuous monitoring tools, because you're not going to be able to solve this problem by just throwing more people at the problem. We're going to have smarter algorithms and the capability of continuously being aware of what our security posture is and what the vulnerabilities are.